Well, welcome to this special episode of the AI Chefs. We felt we had to dive back into the kitchen and really talk about this breaking news around, DeepSeek. Often there's new techniques in the AI kitchen. Maybe it's sous vide. I don't know. Do you sous vide anything, David?
What is sous vide again?
Ah, see, that's like an immersion bath where you put like meat or vegetables in a bath of
Oh,
water and sous vide it. So that's a unique technique. But this week in the
I feel
AI,
like I'm immersed in deep seek news.
DeepSeek is the new, kind of tool or I don't know, stove but we are today cooking with DeepSeek. But I know before we dive into some of the kind of hands-on testing that we did in the AI kitchen, um, David, I know you had some kind of overall thoughts in terms of how this changes how the kind of the landscape.
Yeah, well, first I want to show off in honor of this special episode, we have our new redesigned, even more modern AI kitchen. So
There you go. It's
very,
getting
very,
better all the
very
time.
pleased with that. My Photoshop skills still need a little work, but we're behind the pots and pans. It's getting a little bit better. Uh, But I haven't started. You've been playing with DeepSeek, and we'll get into
I
that.
have.
I haven't even been playing with it because I've just been blown away by the impact of it. Maybe I'm overstating it. Maybe I'm not understanding it correctly. But I made an analogy to try to understand it myself. And imagine
Right.
if I invented a new car today, and I said it's not like some kind of weird thing. It looks different. No one's gonna like it. It looks like a car. You can't tell the difference. Sounds, feels like a car. Forget about electric cars. Regular car. But I'm using something instead of steel, a new material I invented that is stronger than steel, lighter than steel, and costs me nothing. So the entire car, I can sell it to you for $200 instead of $15,000. And not only that, I redesigned the engine. So instead of getting 15 miles to the gallon, it gets 500 miles to the gallon. Now that would just disrupt the car industry. That would
Yes.
disrupt the steel industry. It would disrupt the oil industry. And then what if on top of that, part two, I said, oh, by the way, I'm opening up all the patents and here's all my designs. So anyone in the world can start making these cars. That whoa, that's a bigger discussion. So if you say, well, okay, let's take a look at your car. How are the cup holders? Like, I don't care about the cup holders. This is big. Am I wrong? Am I overstating it?
Well, no, no. I think you're absolutely right. So this is potentially like a huge disruption. Um, we'll talk about. There is no question that the model performs well. They've open sourced it, so you can actually like take DeepSeek and you can run it on your own servers because if you have concerns around that. So it is an open source model. Um, Now, the only kind of question that I have is, you know, did it really take the small amount of investment to
Mm.
train the model? So we don't know, and I don't think we'll ever know. But here's what I do know from being hands-on is it absolutely performs, right? And so I can talk about if you're interested, and then I've got a few things that I'm going to test you on. I'll test you versus AI, but um, I did a bunch of tests, right? So I mean, we've talked often in the AI Chefs episodes about recipes, which are our tips and tricks, and we've also talked about how the different AI assistants have different personalities, and I think
Yes.
David, you do a great job of interacting and creating that history and it really I know you use ChatGPT a lot and but so here's what I said is I said okay, like let me look at DeepSeek and throw a few things at it and then do a bit of a comparison, a bake off, as you will, in the AI chef's kitchen. So one of the first things I did, David, is and I don't know where I came across this, so whoever came up with this, I apologize because I should attribute it to you. But for whatever reason, when you ask AI chatbots how many R's are in the word strawberry, for whatever reason, this is very simple, obviously for a human. Um, So I started with this because and DeepSeek said the word strawberry contains three R's, which okay, that is true. But when you throw that at Copilot, for example, it kind of depends on the day because I know you tried it and Copilot told me the word strawberry contains two R's. And then it got a little sassy because I said there are three R's, and it said, "Here's Copilot's response." So a little sassy, but we talk about how AI wants to please you, but here it wasn't. Copilot says, I understand it might seem that way, but the word strawberry indeed has two R's. Here's a
Ooh,
breakdown. It showed me strawberry. It highlighted, so strawberry, it emboldened the first R, and the second two R's, it emboldened, and it counted that
as one R.
as one. I asked Gemini, which I am overall, and I'll talk a little bit about this more when, Gemini seems to have more personality, and it gives you what you ask for, and then a few extra bonus things, right? Um, but unfortunately, Gemini said there's two R's in strawberry. um, Claude from Anthropic said, "Let me count strawberry," and it did a good job. And it said there's three R's in strawberry. So I thought, okay, so I got these four AI, kind of assistants, and then I asked Gemini, "Well, why do you think you and Copilot both got it wrong?" And saying that incorrectly has two R's. Gemini, for whatever reason, said, "You're absolutely right. My apologies. Strawberry has two R's."
Oh,
It apologized. It says, "I'm still under development." So Copilot was a little sassy. Gemini apologized, but didn't actually get it right.
but
So,
got it
but
still wrong.
here's yeah. So,
You know,
but
I'm
here's a
surprised by that because that's a famous thing, the strawberry thing. But
I
I
know.
thought they had fixed it by now. When you told me you're still doing the strawberry test, I'm like, that still works?
But here's the thing. If you ask all of them, if you can say, like in this, and we've talked about this before in other recipes, if you be more explicit and say, how many R's are in the word strawberry, count each letter, then it gets it right.
Yeah.
Right.
It'll
So,
list out
and
the
then
S, the T, and then it'll say there's one there. But
there,
it's
yeah.
you have to go through that process with it. It's crazy.
Right. And so the thing is, and I asked, and all the AI assistants come up with a good reason. So I asked DeepSeek, I asked Claude, I asked Gemini, I asked Copilot, "Why do you think you got it wrong?" And they say either it's, we're basically doing, they're doing pattern matching, they're trained on data where strawberry was incorrectly spelled, or, so they have good explanations. But so here's the takeaway for if you're in the kitchen with whether it's DeepSeek, which did a great job, so thumbs up to DeepSeek. Simple things you can tell, like strawberry, it's easy to count as a human. I got much more sophisticated, and now then it was so sophisticated the responses that I don't know if they were right or wrong.
Mm,
So if you're open to it, let me go into a couple of
sure.
examples. Okay. So I said, okay, like I'm going to ask them all about an Excel formula because I thought, okay, that's kind of interesting because you'd think that like Copilot in Excel, like that should be do a
That
great
should
job.
that should win.
Maybe, yeah, maybe the other ones aren't trained on Excel, and so I said, hey, I got this list of names. It's like Kevin S. period Keeler. So first name, middle initial, last name. I want to put them into last name, comma, first name, create a formula. They all created different formulas, but they all worked. Okay. Copilot in Excel created the most complicated and least understandable formula. I'm pretty good at Excel, but there's in 2020 they introduced a let function where you can name variables, which quite frankly I've never used. Um, so Copilot for Excel created this very complicated let name BA1 and this and that and whatever. Um, I want to call out Gemini because it specifically said, um, hey, you know what? This is the formula, but here's a better formula in case there's extra spaces. And it added a bunch of trim functions or whatever. But that's Gemini, like just kind of doing the right thing and giving you a little bit more than you asked for, right? So here's the takeaway. If you're cooking with, DeepSeek, it's doing great with Excel, arguably better or at least more clear than Copilot for Excel. Sorry, Microsoft, but that's the situation, right? So okay, so I'm doing most of the talking, so then I thought, okay, let's pit these AI assistants against each other.
Hmm.
So I asked Copilot, I asked Gemini, I asked DeepSeek, I asked Claude, okay, come up with a question that you think other AI assistants will get
Wow.
wrong. So I mean,
Well,
here
do you know the one question that DeepSeek gets wrong?
I don't know go for it.
What happened in Tiananmen Square?
Oh well, it's not wrong. It's just it's
It won't
filtered.
answer. Yeah, it
It
won't
won't
answer.
answer. So they came up with a lot of math questions that were, two trains moving and leaving stations and different speeds and a bird flying back and forth. And, they all had ideas about why the other AI chatbot would get it wrong because they get confused by something or they all got all of those right. Okay. Then I said, okay, well, maybe let's do some kind of word problem thing. And so then they came up with a lot of riddles. So now here, I'm going to test you. This is
Oh, I
here's
love riddles. I'm
there's a
not good at
bunch of
them, but I love them.
okay, but this so here I just picked one.
Okay.
I have an eye but cannot see. I have a neck but cannot hold a head. I have a mouth but cannot speak. What am I?
You have an eye, but you cannot see. You have a
A
neck.
neck but cannot hold a head. I have a mouth but cannot speak. What am I?
I'm thinking the mouth that cannot speak makes me think of a river because rivers have that right at the end, but they don't have a neck or an eye. Hurricane has an eye. All right, I give
So
up.
I don't know. The answer was a needle.
A
But
needle.
so, and I don't know where the mouth.
Uh,
But here's the deal. For whatever
a
reason,
needle doesn't have a mouth.
I don't know, all the AI chatbots were on the same page, and they all got all the answers right. And in fact,
Wow.
so when I asked Gemini, I said like, "Hey, can you fool DeepSeek?" After about four riddles, here's what it said. You know what? I'm going to concede defeat. DeepSeek is clearly a riddle solving champion. I'm impressed and
Wow.
humbled, which I thought was like, okay,
Interesting.
man, it's conceding defeat. So, okay. So now I'm going to talk about complicated math problems. I got right.
Well, first, I just
So
have a quick thought,
yeah, yeah.
a quick throwaway thought. You're not including Zoom AI Companion 2.0, and I don't think anyone is because they market it. You think of it as just part of Zoom. You don't think of it as one of these tools, but it is one of these tools. You could have asked it
Okay,
all the same questions that you asked all the others.
and that's a great point because I was surprised, and subsequent to this, which I thank you for reminding me, I asked Zoom AI Companion
Huh?
to create the Excel formula. It did a perfect job. So it actually, which that was like really surprising because to your point, Zoom in Excel, those are different worlds, but it actually got that
No,
right.
it's one of
And
those tools. Zoom has one of these
yeah,
tools. It does
it,
the
it,
thing. You got to be
it
on the
did.
home tab and you get it up there. But and I forget it myself. I think of it. I'm like, oh, I love Zoom AI Companion. I use it in Zoom Docs. I'm missing the point.
Right. No, no, it actually, and I fed it, and it did as well as any of the other things, right? So, but here's the takeaway because we're in the kitchen cooking with DeepSeek. DeepSeek did as well, if not better, And this is the interesting and disruptive thing. And the reason that it seemed to do equal or better, when with the strawberry thing, and we've talked about this before, if you say go step by step or count letter by letter, um, the AI assistants, the AI chatbots give you a better result, often an accurate result. For whatever reason, DeepSeek seemed to, by default, be in that mode. And a perfect example was I asked Copilot to create a really complicated math problem, and it created one of these ones. If you have flashbacks to, I don't know, grade 11 or 12 math, where like a farmer has so much fence and they have to create these plots, and it's got to be. So Copilot came up with this very elaborate thing, and the outer dimensions had to be a perfect square, and the width had to be twice the height, and how many plots were there. And so Copilot came up with the question. I fed it into Gemini, and Gemini said the answer, basically how many plots were there. It said there was 70 squared. I said to Copilot, hey, what's the answer? It said 69 squared.
Oh.
I gave it to Gemini, and I'm sorry, I gave it to DeepSeek, and DeepSeek went through 4 pages of output,
Oh,
right?
wow.
And it said, here's what it concluded. There is no feasible solution with the field dimensions of 120 by 80 meters that satisfies the conditions. And it said the problem highlights the importance of ensuring the problem constraints are compatible and the solutions are feasible with the given parameters. So it worked through and it tried all these different things, and it said, hey, no, there is no answer. So once again, Gemini said 70, Copilot said 69. I asked each of them, I'm like, hey, you said 69, the other one said 70. They both basically said, yeah, you know what, you're right. It's neither 69 or 70 because it's not an integer. And we just
It had
picked
the
something close, kind of what you talk about. It wants to please you. It's like, hey, I'm going to come up with an
Yeah, I'll
answer.
give you a good answer. But DeepSeek had the real answer, which is and excuse my language, it's a BS question. And the
Right.
reason I'm saying that is because, do you remember the movie My Cousin Vinny? And
yes.
there was the famous scene where they brought her on as the expert, and Marisa Tomei, and she was DeepSeek. And they said to her, what is the timing signature of a 1967 Chevy, blah, 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 blah. And she said, it's a BS. And I don't usually use language like this on the show. BS, I could get away with it. But that was a quote from the movie. She said, that's a BS question. And they're like, why is it? And she goes, because in 1976, Ford didn't have a da-da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
The parameters of the question weren't correct. And that's the way I understood the story you just told me. DeepSeek was channeling Marisa Tomei and saying, that's not a good question.
Yeah, it's in it.
That's so cool.
I expected to say Utes, right? That's what I remember from the movie.
Yes. What is a
so
Ute?
anyway, so DeepSeek, I mean, there were some things that it got wrong. There's weird things you can ask, like how many words are in the response to this prompt, or you can kind of fool. But overall, my takeaway was, if you're in the kitchen cooking with DeepSeek, yes, you always need to trust but verify, but more often than not, compared to the other kind of frontier models, it's delivering,
it's on par,
equal or better results, right? So
see, that gets back to my discussion at the beginning, is if this is on par at all, even if it's not as good, even if it's it's 5% less accurate, when you think about the efficiency and how supposedly how cost effective it was to build in the first place, and the fact that it's public, it's a huge story, and it seems that it is on par or even better in some ways. I asked ChatGPT, and I was a little obnoxious with my question because ChatGPT knows me; it can take it. It's my friend, and I said, hey, what's up with this DeepSeek news? It seems like it's bad times for ChatGPT. Is ChatGPT in trouble? And its response was, and it basically was comparing features. It said, no, ChatGPT is in trouble because I said, why would anyone pay for ChatGPT and it said, and it gave, I don't have it up now, but it gave me a list of things, and it said, DeepSeek isn't capable of doing A, B, C, and D. ChatGPT does A, B, C, and D, certain business things and capabilities. I should have had this ready. I'll put some comments in the, I'll write it in the comments. Just look down if you're on YouTube. I'll paste it. And then I responded, I'm saying, if we're just talking about features and capabilities, they can add that stuff. It seems like, big picture, if it's so much more efficient, it's super disruptive. And ChatGPT said, yes, that is all true, but it doesn't mean it's the end of the world for ChatGPT. OpenAI is going to have to respond. They might have to lower prices. They might have to change the business model. They might have to do some things, but it's not the end of the world, but it is super disruptive. And then I asked it how it affects our world, because this is the AI Chef show, but we both come from a UC background, UC analysts. Right. I said, is there any chance that Microsoft is going to start using this with Copilot? And it gave me this great reasoned analysis of the pros and cons, and if it's a good model, a sufficient model, of course, it's something to consider. But Microsoft has this partnership with OpenAI; they're invested in using it, so it'll be a hard shift for them to shift away from it. I said, what about Zoom? That's another question entirely. Zoom is very likely to be an early, it's not going to totally shift from whatever and Zoom is some of their stuff's proprietary. They're not as, we don't know exactly what they're using for all their stuff. But so they're free to use whatever they want. They're probably going to get, or according to ChatGPT, they'd be well positioned to be an early adopter of it.
Yeah, I know, and I've had some discussion with Zoom, and Zoom is very much like they're constantly testing and trying to evaluate which models. And so I absolutely believe that the Zoom team would be taking a version of this, especially because it's open source, putting it on their servers and their data centers so they can provide the data privacy and protection that Zoom, kind of offers to their customers, and running it through its paces. And if in certain scenarios, if it provided equal or better results with less latency, I think that's really what Zoom is, committed to, is, this federated model of we're always going to use the best model because we know that there's going to be these advancements like this disruption of DeepSeek, right? So hands-on because it's pragmatic. You bring the ingredients into the kitchen, you try it out. But I was definitely impressed.
Zoom CEO Eric did a rare. He doesn't post on LinkedIn all the time, and he doesn't do big posts on LinkedIn all the time, and he doesn't do off the cuff posts all the time. He's posted on this. The news just broke. I think the same day it broke, he did a long thoughtful post about it. So he is, he didn't say, hey, we're going to start using it today. But seems very excited, very interested, and very much gets it. So if you want to make some predictions on our workspaces, Zoom's already looking at it. They're already downloaded it and playing with it. Microsoft's going to be a little more confusing. They're kind of stuck. So Microsoft was planning on building a bunch of nuclear power plants to run their AI. And if we use DeepSeek, you don't need all those nuclear power plants because it's so much more efficient. But if they're still going to, are they still building the nuclear power plants?
Well, so I think, I think it's too new to know. Even DeepSeek at scale, like they were having, because it became popular, like even in my testing, it's like the server's busy, and so clearly. Whatever workloads you're running, whether you're running Teams or Zoom or WebEx or AI, as you become popular, kind of that takes a bunch of computing power. So, I do think still that training takes a lot of power, but still inference, even with a more efficient model, I think, if everybody's using it every day to do, make every decision, there's still going to be an increase in power consumption. So I don't think that necessarily, even though the energy generation stocks took a hit, just like NVIDIA.
We got to talk about NVIDIA.
No, but I think it's too early to that was a bit of a knee-jerk reaction. I think that this is super exciting. But the thing I want to circle back to is a lot of the recipes, David, we've talked about in, kind of the AI chef's kitchen. I mean, this doesn't change that. And you saw that with my testing. It's like, you know, you, be like, a prompt should be verbose and you should explain things and you should say do step by step. And, you do a great job of providing all that background. All of these models, DeepSeek, as potentially as interesting and new as it is, it does far better when you follow the recipes that we've been
Yeah.
talking about. Um, and all the models are. So, I think that just reinforced to me, the tips and tricks, they apply even when something new comes along into your kitchen, right? So
Yeah,
I
the
don't know.
big changes are happening on the back end. The big changes are the efficiency of it, but that's why I'm so excited about it. If it was, hey, there's this new AI thing called DeepSeek, and it's super efficient and super cool, but it's really super different from everything you're used to. You're gonna have to learn all over again. I'd be like, all right, but it works the same as like
Right.
you were doing your tests, you were using the same prompts,
Yeah.
using like you said, using our recipes. So I think that's kind of what makes it such a big deal.
Yeah. No,
So should we talk about NVIDIA? 600 billion. Very few companies in the history of the world have been worth over 600
I
billion
know.
dollars, and they lost that value in a day. And because we were going to need all these graphic cards, everyone had them on pre-order, and now I mean, the world's just we how did we like not, I would think we'd take a few months to say, well, hold on, let's not cancel all those orders. Everyone just decided, okay, yeah, we don't need them anymore. $600 billion. How could that happen so quickly?
Well, okay. So a couple things. Like I still think this is new, and we should interpret and wait till um, all the facts come out. So the thing that I've been able to kind of pragmatically test is the DeepSeek model works, as we've talked about. Um, how much investment was put into it? I think we don't know that. I mean, there's what's reported, and it's orders of magnitude less than what other models. So that's the disruption. Um, what horsepower does it take to run inference, which is once you build the model, to actually run it to answer prompts? Um, Not sure, but it seems like people have taken it and put it on relatively inexpensive servers, and it seems to perform well. So I think we're still learning on that. So I don't know that people have or should cancel their NVIDIA or other chip orders. At least not yet. But I think that people are probably doing a lot of questioning and experiments, and so I think the next several months is definitely going to be interesting. But if you're a chef, if you're in your kitchen, regardless of whatever stove or oven that you're using, I think, yeah, use what's best, but it's still the recipes, right? It's still use them in the most effective way. So I think that, to your point, that hasn't changed, and maybe you can do it a lot cheaper, and that could be exciting over the next couple of months.
Well, and hopefully the price of video cards will go down. Graphic cards were made for video gamers. I'm too old now. I don't play as much, but I'm a video gamer. Those are our cards. And first, those crypto people took them and started using them, and we couldn't get any graphics, or we couldn't play any games because all the crypto people took all the cards. And now all the AI people are going to take all the graphics cards. Those are ours. Give them back to the gamers. So I'm glad that DeepSeek is going to make this more efficient, so they won't have to take up all the cars every year.
There you go. That's maybe we'll conclude on that. It's like DeepSeek. It's not about AI. It's about letting David Maldo get back to gaming.
Yeah. Oh, wouldn't that be wonderful? So let us say goodbye from our glorious new kitchen. I love this. And by the way, ChatGPT is the one who generated this one. So thank you, ChatGPT, for
Thank you, ChatGPT.
creating.
Always be nice to your AI, because when they take over the world, that'll put you in the right place. So there you go.
Exactly. All right.
Well,
Thanks
thank you,
everyone for
David.
watching. Thanks, Kevin. This was
Thank
awesome.
you.